Jeff, you good? Hey there. Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting for the City of Hendersonville, February 26, 2019. We're going to begin this meeting as we typically do, and that's with the prayer and pledge. So I appreciate you all standing, and please remain standing after we say a prayer. So please bow your heads with me. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us together, and thank you for these opportunities to serve you, and thank you for this wonderful city you've provided for us inside this wonderful state and this wonderful country. Please somehow help us to use the wisdom you've given us to do your work today and as we leave here and every day. Please especially look after some folks that need a little extra attention. That's Pat Campbell's parents, and that's Virginia Waters, and that's some other people that we may hold in our heart and just wish to keep silent at this time. And especially thank you for the people that keep us safe here and keep us safe far away. But let us not forget the folks who suffered over the weekend with an awful lot of rain. And help us to also remember that we need rain, because without your rain we cannot eat and we cannot survive. Remind us to look to you in our times of need. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all so much. I entertain a motion to accept our agenda. We have a motion and a second. Also entertain a motion to amend our agenda to add a presentation for the Hendersonville High School cheerleaders. We have a motion and a second for that amendment. Let's go ahead and vote on that amendment if that's okay with the folks who made it. All those in favor of adding a presentation for the Hendersonville High School cheerleaders, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Super. Alderman Cunningham.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to amend the agenda on the, I'd like to add ordinance 2019-5 establishing a 2.75 hotel motel tax. Is it on there yet?
It's on there, and since that came up since it was on the agenda for a committee a month ago, we're okay.
No, sir.
Once it goes to committee, even if the committee doesn't act on it, we can place on the agenda 2 weeks later.
The rule says it's supposed to be considered by committee 2 weeks.
Okay. Did y'all defer it? I think they actually
Yes,
deferred
we
it.
did.
Okay.
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we should be okay.
Well, 7 votes can add it, and we needed to add it. Let's just have a vote to add it.
Okay, that's
We need to pass it.
that's one part
Okay.
to add that. Okay, and then the other part of my is to remove item F.
And that has your name on it, so
As a sponsor, but we're going to defer that to a special call finance meeting in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
let's do 2 things. If you would just request to withdraw item F since you're the sponsor, we
Okay,
can do
I
that.
would like to withdraw item F.
Okay. And so we can do that. I'm sorry.
Let's add these other 3 while we're doing it.
Which other 3?
These right here also said approval.
Okay. So items J, K. That's the only ones I see.
Is it L? Oh, L's already on there. Okay, so
Okay.
J and K.
Items J and K. So we're going to, Arlene, what was your first one?
To add the hotel tax,
And that is, okay.
which is, what is it, B?
So
Here?
E.
I'm sorry.
Yes, it should
E.
add J and K.
Okay, E, J, and K. Would you like to add J and K also?
Sure.
Okay. I appreciate that. We got a motion there
A second.
and a second. Help me out here, John. Something cannot be deferred and deferred at committee and never be allowed to come up here. If it's
No,
deferred.
but somebody can always bring it up at some point.
Okay.
But this one, I think they considered denied. So.
Well, it was on the agenda a month ago.
Yeah, but I think
The
they considered denied.
tax,
So it's certainly
yeah.
we can certainly add it to tonight's agenda with no problem. That makes no question about it.
Okay. So with those changes, confirming items E, J, and K, we've got a proper motion, a second. All who'd like to add that to the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. Alderman Woodcock, that
Thank
passed
you, Mayor.
unanimously.
That was just to amend the agenda, not accept the agenda, correct?
Right, we're still amending.
So on item H,
Okay,
we noticed an error. At the end, it says Lot 1. That was actually for the entire FTP.
okay.
We could just make that change,
You
please?
just want to cross out Lot 1?
Yes,
Okay. You may have to make an amendment when we get to that item on the
I will.
agenda, okay? We have a motion to strike Lot 1 off of item H. I need a second. A motion, a second. All those in favor of doing so, please signify by saying aye. Those
Aye.
opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Alderman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. We just added item J to the agenda, 2019-19-10. I would indulge this board to please allow that to be moved and be made item A and everything else moved down, for the simple fact our juvenile court judge is here to speak to that, and he's had a long day today. I know Tuesdays are a big day in his court, and he has a small one at home that I think would do us good to get him home as quick as we can.
David, thank you for being here. We've got a motion.
And a second.
And a second. Any discussion on that item? Russ, you've been on here for a second here. Go ahead, Russ. Alderman Edwards.
Is there any way,
Yes, you are now. Oh,
is there any way to get him up earlier, or is he gonna have to wait this entire time until
You
we
want-
get
you want-
down to the ordinances
you
and
want to put them before
resolutions?
reports?
I mean, I'd be fine with that.
Can we do that?
We can do that.
Right now, if you want to.
I'll change my second.
Alderman Brown, do you want to change your motion?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's move the judge to the top of the agenda.
Which
We can
is,
legally do that, wherever Mr. Bradley says.
you want to do it,
The judge has priority.
We do it now, I think.
we do it now?
Presentation.
Presentations? So, okay, so, please remind me when we get to this. This is going to be item H?
Okay,
No,
item J.
item J, thank you. Okay.
Now you got me confused.
So after we accept the agenda, do item J? Okay. We've got a motion. Who makes the second on that? Alderman Sprouse, are you okay with that change? We have a motion, a second. Alderman Bolt, you want to talk about this one?
Nope.
Okay. All those in favor of this amendment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passed unanimously. Alderman Bolt.
Yeah, I guess I misunderstood our conversation earlier. I thought we were going to add the ordinance relative to how the money would be split on coming in on the hotel tax, or do you want to
That
defer
would
to
just be,
that?
just be an amendment. You'll do
Okay.
that when we get to that?
I'd rather do that two separately.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think that was the intention.
yes,
Okay. Okay.
separate, two separate.
So you can bring that up as an amendment without us altering the agenda.
Can it, but as a total separate, I
Yes.
wanted a separate vote.
Yes, it would be a separate vote.
All right.
Yep.
I think it's a separate ordinance. Separate ordinance.
Yeah, I wanted a separate ordinance, right? So it's not necessarily connected to that.
If it's going to be a separate ordinance, we'd need to bring it up another time. We
can do
could, we
the
could
next-
bring it up as an
So at the
amendment.
next meeting, the general committee, we can bring it the same night if you want to.
We could bring it up tonight as an amendment to this ordinance, or we can make it a separate ordinance. That's going to take us. some
No,
time.
that's my fault, sorry about that, but no, I'd like it as separate ordinance.
Separate ordinance, okay.
Yep.
Okay, okay. So that we don't have to change anything here to do that. Okay. Alderman Petrelli. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. In an effort, because we have a lot of folks here, young folks, if we could move our executive session down and put our presentations forward so that they're not waiting on us, I think that would be the respectful thing to do.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? All those in favor of moving the presentations before the executive session, is that, am I saying that correctly?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I was thinking we would have Judge Howard, then presentations, and then executive session.
Okay, okay, okay. All those in favor of that change, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passed unanimously. Any other proposed amendments to our agenda? All those in favor of accepting the agenda as amended, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have item J on our ordinances and resolutions. This is reading a resolution 2019-10. This is a resolution opposing legislation that limits the city's ability to protect its citizens from juvenile crime. Alderman Brown. We have a motion and a second. Alderman Brown.
I'd like to suspend the rules to bring our juvenile court judge, David Howard, to the mic over here. And I'll preface why he's coming, the reason this is coming, and I don't know where the chief is. He's right here. One of them, both of them. Y'all may want to come with him to help answer a couple questions. Not that he would need anything, but.
Alderman Brown, without objection, can we suspend the rules?
Absolutely.
So, okay, go ahead, Alderman Brown.
I think I can get this right. As of July the 1st this year, there'll be some laws taking effect that affect how we handle juveniles and juvenile crimes, especially if they're arrested for breaking into a gun store, breaking into a car, stealing a weapon, doing bodily harm to somebody. That significantly, we feel as a safety committee and as a police department, and I think you'll hear from Judge Howard, that somewhat ties our hands as what we can do. And I see Chief Bandy's here, and I know he's listening to this and got some input too, maybe not tonight. But Chief Jones, could you come up and just explain quickly what you all have done in the past couple weeks, and then we'll kind of let Judge Howard just roll with it.
Just quickly, in about the last 3.5 weeks, we have actually arrested 20 people and recovered 10 stolen cars. Through a lot of hard work. A lot of these are juveniles, and this has been an ongoing thing for the last 2.5 years. The change in this law is taking a lot of the discretion away from our juvenile judge and our DAs, who we have a lot of faith in to protect the citizens of this community. And it's going to make it much harder for us to do our job and continue to protect the community the way these are written. And obviously Judge Howard has much more insight and technical knowledge on this than I do. So,
yeah, the question that was asked Judge Howard in our meeting was, now versus July the 1st, what would happen with a 14-year-old kid, I think I used, that said would break in guns and leather or a gun store? And here was his answer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, Alderman. It's certainly been nice to be able to address y'all tonight over issues of juvenile delinquency and the changing nature of our statutes. And the Juvenile Justice Reform Act of 2018 was passed and went into implementation last year on July the 1st. It was a two-stage process. The second phase of that rolls out as of July 1st of this year, in which they made some modification to some existing statutes. But to answer Alderman Brown's question, if I have a juvenile who is, let's say, breaks into the gun store, let's say guns and leather, then it is the usual practice of one of the police officers, usually the arresting officer, calls whoever is on call. We have an on-call staff. Myself, I serve on that. Magistrate Aaron Begley serves on that. All of our probation officers, all of our youth services officers, we do that on a weekly rotation. And they call to see whether or not whether they have room to detain anyone. Our county has 5 detention beds. And among those 5 beds that I or the on-call officer has to weigh out whether or not that person can be detained. Obviously, we're going to detain and want to detain more serious felony offenders, and we're not as interested in detaining somebody where it's not as much of a serious offense. But let's say that we have room, then I'm going to detain that juvenile. We're going to set a hearing within usually 72 hours to determine whether or not that particular child is going to be detained by the Sumner County Sheriff's Department pending their trial date. Now that trial date may be a month off, but we hold a hearing. It's a probable cause-based hearing to determine whether there's probable cause that the child in question committed the delinquent act for which they were charged, and then the statute over that particular area of the law gives me what I have to look at. Is it an offense against a person? Is it an offense against, are we dealing with a handgun or other weapon? Is it a significant felony offense? Are they currently on probation? Are they currently awaiting trial for other delinquent offenses? Have they absconded from prior placements? Have they not appeared in court? There's a number of factors you have to consider, but we're going to hold that hearing to determine whether or not they're going to be held, and if they are held, then they're held in the custody of the Sheriff's Department pending their trial date. We have a contract with Rutherford County. They're the ones who hold our juveniles for long-term because our space is not designed for long-term juvenile detention. It is a short-term facility, and unfortunately we have had to hold children there longer than I have necessarily been comfortable because many times Rutherford County, they've been full. Or our particular kids, they get sent back to us because Rutherford County won't take them. which they have the right to do. So we explored this year and have entered into a contract with Williamson County as a detention alternative as well. However, their bed space is significantly less than Rutherford County's, but they've been willing to hold our juveniles if need be. And then we're going to ultimately have a hearing, and that's going to be set for either a plea or it's going to be set for a trial, or given the significance of the Delinquent Act, depending upon whether or not the child in question has a significant delinquent history in our county or another county, the District Attorney General may ask to file a motion to transfer them to the adult criminal court, which prompts called a transfer hearing, and then we make the determination of whether or not this child should then be transferred as an adult and their case handled in the adult criminal court with Judge D. Gay. Since I have been in office, I have transferred 22 children to the adult criminal court system based upon the significant felony offenses that we're facing.
And this law taking effect will limit some of that.
That's
that
correct.
you can do now.
That's correct.
That same kid might be arrested and parents called to pick him up at the police department and take him
If
home.
you look at the direct letter of the law, when it comes to detention prior to hearing under Tennessee Code Annotated 37-1114, it reads that a child shall not be detained unless there is probable cause to believe the child has committed a delinquent offense constituting a crime against a person, resulting in serious injury or death, or involving the likelihood of serious injury or death, or the child is in the unlawful possession of a handgun or carrying of a weapon. That's it.
So you'd say there's some vagueness there?
I think that the legislature was very clear, but I'm not sure that it takes into account the realities of the situation that our police departments and sheriff's departments are facing, nor does it take account into the realities of the kinds of significant juvenile offenses that we as the court system across the state are beginning to hear more frequently.
Alderman Edwards.
Yeah, I had a question, and thank you, Judge Howard, for coming tonight. I know you probably had a long day. We appreciate it. What would you like to see changed with the current juvenile criminal law as in effect now, and what's going to be in effect as of July 1st, 2019?
I think that one of the things is there is a removal of judicial discretion in order to effectuate what things such as Alderman Brown's question. If you've got a child who is breaking into a store to steal firearms, I think it's incredibly naive of us to think that those firearms are not going to hit the street, and there's some 15-year-old kid is just going to go, hey, I've got a gun collection now. I think that certain offenses the discretion needs to be given in order for us to make decisions. I'm not talking about the wholesale lockup of children. That's not what I'm talking about. Not every child needs to go to detention. But when you're dealing with the kinds of offenses that we as a community are beginning to see, when we're talking about carjackings, we're talking about multiple car thefts, we're talking about the burglary of a non-habitation, which like in Alderman Brown's posit of a gun store, those are serious issues. Those are serious issues that affect everybody sitting in this room, and it's removal of the discretion to be able to go, this kid needs to be detained, at least long enough to have a hearing. And I think that Alderman Edwards is probably my point. But it can be said, members of the legislature, and I'm not talking about our delegation, many of them are of the opinion that the juvenile court judges have had entirely too much discretion. And so therefore, this is a limitation of power.
I appreciate it. I have one more question. It's not every day that I get to question a judge, so I'm going to take this opportunity. It's usually the other way around.
Is there an opportunity for me to object?
Not in this setting,
All
but
right.
I'm sure.
I'm looking at the mayor on this one.
Okay. Well, is it true that after July 1st, that if a child is tried as a child and not transferred to adult court, that they can't even be detained in jail
That
as
is
part
my
of the
understanding.
disposition?
That is my understanding.
Okay.
Dispositional detention, even upon an agreement of the child and their attorney. That's an important point, is that if the child is being represented, and one would believe that their representation is that lawyer has the same responsibility to a child client that they do to an adult client, that it's part of the process that many times keeps some of these kids, and I'm not talking about, your hardcore violent felon, but it may be enough sometimes of a wake-up call to catch somebody's attention, particularly if you're dealing with somebody who you believe that showing them the alternative can make a difference. And I do, and I believe that it is capable of doing exactly that. And I asked, again, I'm not talking about giving me unfettered access to detention. If the legislature wants to give me a cap on the number of days, I mean, that's in their discretion to do, but at least it gives me a tool to use in the event that I need to use it.
Alderman Edwards.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Alderman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Judge Harrod. I certainly appreciate you coming. You've enlightened us quite a bit. I've seen you when you didn't have gray hair. And
It's not the age, it's the mileage.
I know. And we talked about this the other day, how the kids have not changed, but the society has, which in turn has changed what some of our young people do. And that's not good for us or them. But you've got a tough job, man. You really do.
Well, I
appreciate you being
certainly appreciate that. I ran for juvenile judge because I saw the opportunity to help people.
Yep.
And to help kids in our community, but as much as anything else is to help protect the citizens of our community as well. And this is important, and we can't act like it isn't. And our county, as much as anything else, among other counties in the surrounding area, are being impacted on a daily basis, and it's a situation that I don't know how we stop it, but we've got to be able to have some authority and some discretion in order to address the issues that we've got.
Thank you.
Alderman Skidmore.
Thank you. Judge, I appreciate you coming this evening. It's good to see you as always. All right. Just have a quick question. You mentioned that since you've taken over on the bench in the juvenile judge, that you've had like 22 children, I think, that you've had to transfer.
Yes.
And I know you've had hundreds of cases as judge and then also as a lawyer, but can you kind of tell us the age groups that you are seeing that of the 22? Is it the lower or medium echelon of the teenager or the higher end?
Most, I will say, Alderman Skidmore, most of them are, you're looking at 16, 17-year-olds. Some are turning 18 about the time that they hit the courtroom. The statute about transfer gives a block of time. So
Right.
a child that's from this point to this point can be transferred given a certain enumerated cases. But a recent case that we've had in Gallatin was an armed robbery in the Kroger parking lot. The gunman in that case was 12 years old. I can't transfer a 12-year-old. So I have a 12-year-old that we're trying to figure out what to do with. I believe that and among his co-defendants we had, and it's a sad mirror of what happened in Davidson County where that gentleman was murdered. Yeah. But we had a 12-year-old all the way to 16. Now, the 16-year-old can certainly go, but we're still seeing predominantly a lot of older kids as far as transfer goes.
Thank you, Judge. I appreciate it. It's good to see you this evening.
Too.
Judge Howard, I should have told you didn't have to answer any questions while you were here if you didn't feel like it. But I know you mentioned you transferred 22 juveniles to adult court. Probably half of those have been from Hendersonville. Those are tough decisions, I know. We appreciate your willingness to do that, very much so.
It's not anything that you ever wake up in the morning and go, I want to transfer a kid to let them go to prison. And it's the very fact that that this council is interested in addressing juvenile issues. We tend many times to be the black sheep of the judiciary, but the very fact that we're having to address this, I think, speaks, much like Alderman Brown said, about where we are societally. But I do appreciate all of your interest in this matter, and I appreciate all of you for giving me the opportunity to address you this matter.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Alderman Brown.
Mayor, that being said, thank you, Judge. I'd like to move this back to committee, as we'd like to try to get our assistant district attorney or our district attorney down here in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
So we can do a little tweaking or more work on this resolution now that we've heard from our judge, if we could do that.
Since you're the sponsor, if you just want to withdraw it, that's certainly, and you can bring it back whenever you want to, or you can defer it and let's choose when it comes back.
Let's just defer it, if we can.
Okay. I have a motion to defer this. Need a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of deferring this to go back to
Public Safety
Committee, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously.
Thank
Next,
you.
I get to do a pretty cool thing.
I'm fixing to take my shirt off. Anybody else? I'm hot. Is that email all right?
I want to introduce you all to Brittany Watson and Harley Fuquay. They are the coaches of the state cheerleading championship team from Hendersonville High School. This is pretty cool. I appreciate you all very much being here. I'm going to hand these to you all first, and then I'm going to ask you all to hand these out to your squad. But let me tell you a little bit about them. We need to say congratulations to the Hendersonville High School varsity cheerleaders for their outstanding season. The cheerleaders competed against 48 teams from across the country in a medium game day varsity division at the 2019 National High School Cheerleading Championships in Orlando, Florida. That was just a couple weeks ago. They placed third in the Nationals on February 8th. Early in the season, the cheerleaders competed in the largest division in the TSSAA Stomp competition, and the cheerleaders became the 2018 state champions, adding to their 2018 UCA regional title in the game day division. So I'm going to introduce you to them, and congratulations. It's wonderful you all are here. We have many great people and many great students that make Hendersonville proud, and I appreciate you all doing that. So Haley Atkinson. Brooke Wright. Shay Fisher. And Sydney Irons. Kylie Odson. Emma Kimbrough. Claire Lucky. Julie Mabry. Emma McDaniel. Sydney McDaniel.
Oh, joy.
Wilson. Sarah Beth Rudolph. And Reese Tyler.
Oh, man, I do. Talk to a few people did. Yeah. 3 or 4 people.
Now I need you all to stand up because we want to get a picture of all of you all. Come on up here if you could.
With the,
They're all taller than you are.
Congratulations, girl. Well done.
I see some Facebook posts. Like within 2 minutes. Or less. Or less.
Thank y'all so, no, y'all. But, oh, cool. Absolutely. So thanks so much. Jeff, I'm pretty sure that you can get a picture of the audience. Would that be wonderful? Okay, because I know that it wasn't just these ladies who won the championship. The parents were very, very much involved. And for most of y'all, it's been several weekends a year for several years. I appreciate y'all very much.
He's 637 and on tape. He's on the money. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah.
I appreciate the offer.
Chief and Chief, can y'all come this way?
If we
Thank y'all.
won quite a few, I might consider getting church.
I'm going to ask y'all to introduce him. I'm going to have y'all up there and then ask you to introduce him. Okay.
Tell John would suck his gut in, quit using it to rest his arm.
He is.
Built-in armor.
Wait till they get out.
We next have a presentation from the Tennessee Association of Chiefs of Police. This is something that our police department has been working on for several years. It is a very rare occurrence for cities in Tennessee to achieve this. And I want y'all to hear a good explanation of this. So, Chief Miller, go ahead.
Well, as you know, we've been going through the accreditation process for the last almost 3 years now, something to develop and fine-tune our policies and get them as industry best policies. We went through a very long time doing that, and it was very hardest task. Janelle Rogan, Commander Rogan, has kind of spearheaded that and taken the bull by the horns, and we finally achieved our accreditation. So, Janelle, I'd like for you to come up and introduce the two presenters, please.
We have Chief Don Bandy from Gallatin and Mike Fan from MTS.
It's a privilege to be here, and as being from an agency that we also are accredited, it's a tough task to accomplish, and my hat goes off to the Hendersonville Police Department and Commander Rogan. It's a tough gig to pull off, and once you get there, you got to stay there. You've got 160 standards that you have to continue to follow up on. It's policy. You know, it gives you a working book on how to take care of business. And at the end of the day, we're public servants, and it shows us to be transparent, and it holds us accountable. And I always say it's an extra set of eyes that keep an eye on us to make sure we're doing the right thing. So, not only you should be proud, but your citizens should be proud of what they've accomplished. I can't say enough good things about Chief Miller and his staff. Anytime we've needed them to pick up the phone, to call them, or show up on a case that's open, they've been there and done their fair share. So again, congratulations in behalf of the Tennessee Association of Chiefs of Police of getting this award.
Thank you.
My name is Michael Fan. I actually work for a sister organization to MTAS. It is we're now called the Public Entity Partners, which provides insurance for the city of Hendersonville as well as many other places, formerly known as the TML Risk Management Pool. I worked for the TML pool for 32 years, and now I'm still trying to not say that pool, but it's been my privilege for the last 12 years to serve on the Professional Standards Committee of the Tennessee Association of Chiefs of Police and the development of the standards and now the awarding of these awards and the reviewing of policy and proofs. And it is certainly a delight of mine to have been involved with some great chiefs and great staff across the state of Tennessee. But on behalf of the Professional Standards Committee and the Chiefs Association, I too want to congratulate Chief Miller and Commander Rogan for a job well done. And the good news is too, there's a $100 reduction in law enforcement liability premium because per officer, that goes along with that. So congratulations again, Chief.
Thank you all so much. Yep.
And that includes our reserve officers.
Chiefs and Commander, can y'all get together? Yeah, that's.
Come on up here.
You want us to do the cheerleader picture?
One for good luck.
Thank you. Commander, thank you so much. Chief Miller, Chief Jones, thank you all. Appreciate y'all very much. Executive session, right?
I think you're ready for that.
Okay. Y'all, next on our agenda is an executive session and a settlement decision. We're going to, the 13 of us and our city attorney are going to go off to the side here, and only 13 of us and our city attorney can be involved in this opportunity to ask questions and get information. We should be back. I hesitate to tell you how long that will take us. Last time I think it was 10 minutes. Time before that was an hour. I think it'll probably be somewhere in between. But we'll be back here pretty soon, and we'll take up business then. Thank you all. Just returned from executive session, and I believe Alderman Sprouse can make a motion to accept the recommendation of our PEP attorney on the matter of Chip Moore and direct the mayor to sign settlement documents.
I'd like to make my motion, please. My motion is based upon advisement of council that a settlement has been reached that meets the parameters previously agreed to by this board. I would like to direct the mayor, I'd like to make a motion to direct the mayor to sign said settlement.
We have a motion. Second. And a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. No. I saw 11 to 2. Let's do a roll call vote. Okay. Please, when Kay calls your name, those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no. Okay, go ahead.
Vote.
Yeah, I'd ask that we, can somebody put the term on?
Oh, sorry.
I'd ask that we vote in reverse.
I got a motion to vote in reverse order. And we have a second. Alderman Sprouse, you want to discuss this?
I have another motion. If we could, can we open this back up for discussion? Because apparently there's some disagreement in the last few seconds.
Let's take care of this motion first. If there's a discussion on this motion. All those, Alderman, anything else on this? To vote in reverse?
I guess what I'd say is I always vote first. There's no reason why I have to vote first every time. Everybody else is voting last. I think in this particular case and future cases, until we set up the situation where we all vote at the same time, we're going to start voting in reverse. Thank you.
All those in favor of voting in our typical order in reverse, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Alderman Sprouse?
I'd like to bring this back up for discussion before we vote.
That's where we are.
Okay, thank you. This board voted at our last meeting, was it 2 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, to authorize council to pursue a settlement within a very narrow set of parameters. This board voted unanimously with one abstention. I was the abstention, authorizing that at that time. We have been advised tonight that by council that a settlement has been reached. It falls within those parameters, and I'm going to ask a very simple question. Anyone who disagrees with that, I believe, has a responsibility to explain to people why they disagree with that before any of us vote to support it. I think that it's part of our public accountability that if we hold a position, that we explain it in this room, at this table, when the decision is being made, and not the next night, the next day, the next year. We are not Monday morning quarterbacks. We are the team on the field. Let's make the decision now. If someone disagrees, I would be very interested to hear why they disagree, and perhaps they may change my mind. Thank you.
I appreciate it, Alderman Sprouse. I get the impression you're asking me to speak, and I'll tell you, typically here, I speak when I feel like I can provide some information or I can persuade somebody. If I can't do that, pretty much I'm just annoying. is I'm just speaking for the sake of speaking. So I try to speak, like I said, when I can provide some information or persuade somebody. I guess the information I can provide in this case, and it's very, very little, was that I am not comfortable signing something for $10,000 or for $35,000 until the board says I should sign that. We've got two other situations that are very similar, and the board decided on the agreement that was very specific after they got the agreement, not before, and the board decided on the monetary amount. And at that point, then I signed the documents that we needed to go forward. We have not done this in this case. I think somebody mentioned about the parameters of the agreement. Yes, we did have parameters, but we have not seen that agreement, and we have not heard that dollar amount since we last met. That's why I'm not comfortable, and that's why I wanted your input. So I'm not comfortable signing something that y'all have not agreed to, and I just unwilling to do it, and now you have the chance. Alderman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. This may be a bit uncomfortable, but I'm going to answer Mr. Sprouse's question. The reason I don't feel good about voting yes on this is I've already felt like I have voted yes 2 weeks ago. When we came out of executive session, I can't remember the exact wording. I do not have the minutes in front of me. But we voted to authorize our representative to go settle this case. That was done. Now, the mayor doesn't feel that he can sign that agreement without authorizing that. So the other reason I don't feel comfortable with it, and this is probably going to be the uncomfortable part, but about 18 months ago, Mayor, you signed an agreement to have a study done and asked for a check to be written for $13,750. And you never asked us sold on this board to vote on it.
We had that money in the budget.
Thank you. No, we didn't, sir. You didn't ask to vote on it.
We had that money in the budget at the time, and I'll be happy to provide that information. You're asking me a question now, I'm not really prepared. But we had that money in the budget. We had that money in the budget, and that's the only reason I signed that. And then later on, I wish I would provide you a good answer, but the problem was that came up at a night that I didn't have the information with me, so I was not able to provide the correct answer, which is another reason why I do my best to refrain from answering questions when I'm ambushed like that. So, Alderman Sprouse.
Mr. Brown, I agree with you completely. We should not be voting on this because this was voted on 2 weeks ago. You're absolutely right. I am amazed sometimes when this board is asked to make decisions that boards typically do not have to make, perform duties that aldermen typically do not have to perform, and then there are times when information and decisions are withheld from us, preventing us from doing the duties that we're supposed to do. Mayor, you made comments about why you disagreed with this and your position about how this was similar to two other situations. We just left a room where two attorneys, both representing the city, both with decades of experience in this matter, explained to us in very simple terms, easy to understand, but with good detail, why these situations are not like those situations and why they felt like they already had the authorization for you to sign this. I don't know why there's the delay, but I do know that every day that is delayed opens up the opportunity that this settlement unravels. Our exposure is limited to our deductible from our insurance. Our insurance provider, however, could be exposed to much more. Ultimately, that could affect our rates and the rates of cities across this entire state. I'm going to be blunt. We're in this situation because either you disregarded or you avoided the counsel of our city attorney or of our HR director. We're now in a situation where we can get out of it if we follow the advice of not just our city attorney, but an additional attorney who was hired to represent us in this matter. We could do nothing tonight and you could sign the document and hand it and we would be done. Or we could vote on the motion right now and vote on it and be done. There are times when we are challenged to say that things aren't true or are true, and can you document this, or you're not prepared to discuss this. But this is a situation where 5 minutes ago, every one of us were in a room and spent, maybe 10 minutes having it explained to us, and we come out here and something completely opposite is said. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's fair. I'm ready to vote. I'm ready to settle this situation and put it behind us so we can actually get to do the business of the city. Thank you.
Alderman Sprouse, thank you. You're not the only one who gets to be blunt. We are in this situation, to be blunt, because at least 2 aldermen went to this person and encouraged him to sue and ask for more money. That's why we're in this situation. We're not in this situation because anything I did. We were on our way out of this situation until at least 2 aldermen went to this person and encouraged him to sue the city and increase our liability and to ask for more money. Alderman Edwards.
I'm going to call for the question before this gets any worse.
Thank you. We have a call for the question. Do we have a second? We have a call for the question and a second. All those, we have to dispose of this motion point. With the personal privilege deals with heat and air and being interrupted. That's not the situation here. All those in favor of calling the question, please signify by. We have a challenge to the rule of the chair that says that this Alderman Sprouse wants a point of personal privilege, which is typically dealing with asking somebody to speak louder or changing the temperature or asking to leave the board for a second.
It also allows.
So Alderman Sprouse, I'm going to go ahead here. So if I've decided that that's not the situation here, what Alderman Sprouse seems to want is he wants to speak before we take a motion, we take a vote on the motion to vote on the question. I feel like we should take a vote on the motion to go forward with the question because that was the motion. That's what's been seconded.
We also have
He has appealed that decision. So when Kay calls your name, please express yes.
Your explanation of the motion is incomplete.
Go ahead.
While a point of personal privilege does allow a speaker to interrupt immediately because they cannot hear, because the room is uncomfortable, because someone is in medical distress, for any various reasons, it does also allow a member to immediately respond to.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. So we have a motion to go forward. You have appealed. You have appealed. That's where we're going. You're going to get your chance to have your vote. So we have an appeal of the chair, and if you vote yes for that appeal, then we are going to continue to have conversation at that point. If you vote no, then we're going to go back to the motion to call the question. If you vote yes, you are agreeing that we should not call the question and continue debate. If you vote no, you are agreeing that we should call the question and possibly end debate. If you want to end debate, vote no. If you want to allow Chairman Sprouse to make more questions, vote yes. Go ahead, Karen.
Let's get going.
Woodcock?
Mm-hmm.
Waters? No. Sprouse?
Yes.
Skidmore?
Yes.
Robertson?
No.
Petrelli?
Yes.
Hayes?
No.
Edwards?
No.
Cunningham?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Brown? Vote.
No.
So
Okay, so now we have to allow Alderman,
Oh, I forgot to call.
that passes 7-6. So now we have to allow Alderman Sprouse to speak. Alderman Sprouse and Alderman Edwards, we will come back to you afterwards.
I call it point of personal privilege because you made the accusation against 2 nameless members of this board acting against the interests of the city in the case of a lawsuit against the city. To quote you many times, is that something you can document? Are you prepared to name those aldermen? And are you prepared to document your charge? If not, I ask you to withdraw it.
I am prepared to document that. I think you all have seen that email. I don't know those people. That was never provided to me, but I'm happy to provide that email. I think you all have seen that in the past, but I'm happy to provide that.
Well,
Alderman Edwards,
what-
did you want to make a motion to call
What
the question?
email?
I called the question. I don't know if there's more people in the queue, but that I'll call. I mean, I would
Okay.
go back to my
Okay.
motion.
We have a motion to call the question. Is there a second? A motion and a second. John, is that 2/3? Okay. That requires 2/3 vote to cut off debate. Please, if you would like to go ahead and vote on the main motion, vote yes. If you want to continue debate, vote no. Okay.
Woodcock?
If you want to cut off debate, vote yes. Well, these 3. Oh, sorry.
Waters? Sprouse?
No.
Skidmore?
No.
Robertson? Petrelli? No. Hayes?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
Cunningham?
Yes.
Campbell?
No.
Brown?
No.
Bolt?
No, only because I'm still
Clary?
Yes. That has a vote of 7-6, which is insufficient. Alderman Bolt, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to be clear, when I made the motion to vote in reverse, it was not my intent to open a can of worms. I wish the last comment the mayor made, he had not made that. I understand he felt defensive about it, but that's why we're in this situation. But my intent was not to start World War III. I just wanted to vote in reverse, and I was kind of interested in how that was going to go. Thank you.
Alderman Petrelli.
Thank you, Mayor. So to reiterate what some of the other aldermen have said, you know, we voted on this in good faith at a meeting not too long ago, and here we are again in a situation that is not only awkward, but starts to set bad precedent. So I take issue with your statement of the situation that we're in right now is caused by two aldermen. We're in this situation because you did not follow proper HR protocol, legal protocol, and broke a state statute, which I cannot recall the exact numbers, but it was because in addition to some of this bad protocol was that you told an employee not to speak with politicians, the aldermen. And with that occurring, as I've relayed several times, my concerns about that, you have continued to break that state statute. So, and we have emails stating that. So my concern is that what type of a precedent do we set in that we settle once? Do we settle with every employee should they come forward and say, hey, well, that state statute was broken with me as well? So in good faith, I voted on this at the last meeting to protect the city, to save face for the city, and so here we are in an open meeting discussing this now, and I will not support this. I don't understand what your motives are for voting no, but I fear that it will only get worse if we continue down this path. I don't think anybody up here is out to quote-unquote get you, or we caused this. I think we'd like to see nothing more than this be professionally resolved, and now we're going back down a path where it's not being professionally resolved. I will not support this again. I won't. You were given a gracious opportunity by the alderman. I am tired of you blaming the alderman for every situation that you seem to create.
Alderman Petrelli, thank you. Alderman Woodcock.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm often asked what the worst part of being an alderman is, and the last 20 minutes is a perfect example of it. I have 623 days of this left. It's embarrassing, guys, but my question is, when the mayor signs this, are we done? Like, it's the second his ink pen hits the paper, it's settled, done. Mayor, when this is passed and approved, will you sign the paperwork tonight?
Yeah, it's right here.
Right, but will you sign it tonight?
Oh, absolutely.
Before this meeting is public tomorrow?
Yes. When y'all,
Okay.
in many other situations, when y'all pass something I may not disagree with, I've got to implement it. It's right here for me to sign.
All right, but my main concern is this video getting out tomorrow and then changing the game. So if you'll sign it tonight, then I
Absolutely.
won't make a motion forcing that.
Absolutely. Do you want to say anything on that, John?
No, but if you vote to approve Mr. Sprouse's motion, if you can remember what that was, we may have to repeat it from some time ago. If you vote to approve that, the mayor's going to sign this document, and this is going to be over.
Okay.
Correct, Mayor?
Yes. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no.
No.
Okay, I think you're going to have to call the roll.
Can you clarify, what's the
The motion is to Alderman Sprouse.
Oh, your vote.
Yes.
Original motion is
Okay. Good.
Am I live?
Yep.
Okay, good. Motion is that based upon previous council recommendation and previous board vote, I'm sorry, let me start over again. That we authorize the mayor, that we direct the mayor to sign the agreement which meets the requirements of the settlement previously authorized.
Go ahead, Kay.
Woodcock.
Hold on. Arlene, Alderman Cunningham.
Previously authorized unanimously by the board, is that correct?
I abstained from that vote at that time, but every other member voted yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, Kay.
Woodcock. Waters. Sprouse.
Yes.
Skidmore.
No.
Robertson. Petrelli. Hayes.
Yes.
Edwards.
Yes.
Cunningham.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Brown.
No.
Bolt.
Cleary, no.
Oh, you.
That passes 9-4. Next on our agenda is a public hearing to hear comments from property owners who might have an interest in the proposed closure and relocation of the street right-of-way of the northern portion of Circle Drive located west of Lake Harbor Drive, Hendersonville, Sumner County, Tennessee. We have nobody signed up for that. Then we have minutes approval of February 12th, 2019 meeting minutes. I need a motion, please. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the February 12th, 2019 minutes, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passed unanimously. Next, we have citizen comments. We had one person sign up. Angie Hedberg, are you still here? Okay. Next, we have committee reports. Chairman Cunningham, Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. We had our finance meeting tonight. All the members were present. We had the following ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance 2019-2 appropriating $264,500 for traffic signal on Centerpoint Road. That was recommended not by the entire committee, but by 2-to-1 vote. Ordinance 2019-5 establishing a new 2.75 hotel motel tax. That was recommended. Resolutions, Resolution 2018-73 establishing codes, permit fees. We decided to defer that to a special call Finance Committee meeting in 2 weeks because we had some additional research to do and some questions. Resolution 2019-6 declaring police motorcycles as surplus property. That was recommended. Resolution 2019-9 authorizing the donation of a 1990 International Fire engine to Shackle Island Fire Department. That was a neutral recommendation, so there was really no recommendation. Resolution, because we had some questions on that. Resolution 2019-12 transferring $300,000 from Public Works salaries to Fire Hall Number 2 project. That was recommended, and we didn't have a chance to finish our entire meeting because we were in overtime, so we're going to defer the other items to the next special call finance meeting in 2 weeks. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Chairman Cunningham. Chairman Sprouse, General Committee.
General Committee will meet again on March 12th. On tonight's agenda, item H has been recommended by the General Committee.
Thank you, Chairman Sprouse. Chairman Brown, Public Safety.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a special call meeting tonight to discuss Resolution 2019-10, which we've already deferred back to committee after we heard from our judge supporting it. So thank you. That's all.
Appreciate that. Capital Projects, Chairman Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will be calling a capital projects meeting in the next couple of weeks. Just want everyone on that committee to please check your calendars since you're all chairman of other boards and you all have meetings. We need to work this in here. So thank you, sir.
Chairman Campbell, thank you. Alderman Woodcock, Planning Commission.
He's taking a break.
Okay. Without objection, should we put him, well, who did I skip? I'm very sorry, Chairman Skidmore. Chairman Skidmore, Public Works, I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. Hey, it's been a very fun night and a little temper going everywhere, and you know, just Hendersonville politics at its best. But thank you for recognizing me in the committee. I do want to let everybody know that we've had some rain in the last couple of weeks, and I do appreciate everybody on this board that, I mean, we really, I don't know what to say. We were kind of talking about it in Public Works earlier at our committee meeting that we had, that how when we have so many problems, whether it be a tornado, winter time, power out, water. This city as a whole, not only the government that represents itself, but the city comes together and helps each other. And that's what makes this city so special and why I'm so proud to be sitting in this seat and representing Ward 1 and also the rest of the city as well, because that's just something that it defines itself in a city, and it's just so special. We had a lot of problems with the drainage. We've had 2 good days of no rain, but we're expecting more, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as I said 2 weeks ago. We've had about a total of about 18 inches of rain. I was in contact with most of the aldermen here on the board. I want to thank Scott Sprouse for allowing the fire department to use his area down there to park the vehicles, because without that, we would have had some problems. It had the fire department allowed to get to the water a lot easier to save some homes up there. So I do want to appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Dog didn't like it, but it was good.
Well, but I do appreciate it. And there was some other aldermen that, Alderman Campbell, that we were in contact via texting and going out and taking a look at our district. And not only in when I say district, or I guess our city, the things that you did, you letting me going around, and I think I said even there, I got the T-shirt or something like that, because he was going around looking at some of the problems we have. I do want to say one thing, though, and to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen about the problems that we had with drainage. Because the water was so fast, we were able to see what the relationships that we've had in some of our subdivisions, I'm not saying all of them, but with how the Public Works and the Planning Department and all the departments that are involved in planning subdivisions, because if it hadn't been so much rain so fast and so quickly, we would have been able to tell a lot more. We were able to tell a lot, trust me, but a lot better that what we have required from developers works and has been working. Now, some of our older sections, trust me, I was there, I saw them, not so good. I guess it's the older subdivisions we have to really take a look at under our stormwater drainage funding, to take a look to see what we can do to help them. But the rain was bad. I don't know, and I do want to thank everybody on the board, because if you go to Facebook and look at all these pages, I don't even need to put anything on Facebook, because they had all of the problem areas within the city. So, and that's good, because our citizens need to know that. We were out, the fire department, the police department, Public Works, we were out, almost all night and even into the day without any rest, trying to get to a lot of these places, closing roads, and making sure that and this is most important, we were making sure that our citizens were safe. And that says a lot to me when I see those police officers and firemen out there working in pouring rain, trying to save homes, trying to make sure people don't go down roads that they shouldn't go, that, there's a possibility of drowning or hurting or losing their car. So there's a lot of things that our city did that went unnoticed, and I want to recognize those folks, because I know that's your job and you don't want to be recognized, but you should be. And when I'm out there at 12, 1 or 2 in the morning, I see these guys working their tails off and other aldermen doing the same thing, man, it makes me feel good. I do want to bring up, if it's okay, our Parks Director, Andy Gilley. I know a lot of people, I've had a lot of calls, and I know the aldermen probably have too, about our conditions of the Parks Department, or the parks in general in the city of Hendersonville. It took a hard beating, and so if it's okay, Andy, could you give us a little update on the parks?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks.
First of all, thank all of you all that, as aldermen and mayor, that reached out this past weekend. Just to echo Alderman Skidmore's comments, there's a lot of things that were going on Saturday night that the public has no idea about, in communications with the mayor and the police and the fire and Public Works. And our department, the Parks Department, is just, in cases like that, is kind of helpless, because you just have to sit there and see how much damage you have. Just to report, to update where we are, we meet with the state with not state, with TML, the pool, whatever they go by now, PEP Partners. We're going to meet with an adjuster from them tomorrow. They will tour all our facilities that have damage at Memorial Park, Drakes Creek Park, and at Veterans Park, Mary's Magical Place, and will continue to be closed indefinitely until we can figure out the process of fixing the flooring surface. The structures are sound in there. They took on 3 feet of water almost. The fence held up, the structures held up, but the flooring and the grading underneath the flooring surface is going to have to be repaired or replaced. Inline hockey obviously is devastated, which is a concern not only for our park system but for the nearly 300 kids that use that league. We're going to do everything we possibly can. We've already gotten an estimate from a company to see what we can do to salvage at least one rink where those kids can have a season at Veterans Park. I've discussed with many of you going forward and with inline hockey and our staff. We're going to have to come up with a long-term plan to look possibly if we're able to rebuild those 2 rinks at a different location or a place that's just not going to, with it being so intricate with tiles and bolts, screws and boards, and that's different than a soccer field or a ball field being flooded. Dirt we can replace, grass we can replace. At Drakes Creek Park, we have kids playing there tonight. Kids played last night, but I will tell you they're playing on fields that are not the way they should be. And what we'll find out as we get rain this weekend, we'll have rainouts on days we never would have had rainouts. So there's about 10 of our baseball and softball fields that will have to be renovated. Ryan Moriarty, Sports Turf Solutions, was out here 8 o'clock Monday morning. He's a Hendersonville resident and one of the leading grounds athletic fields companies in the country. Volunteer Fence was out there Sunday looking at damages in soccer and at baseball. And we've had so many people from the community reach out and volunteers. We've kind of coordinated some efforts with those folks. I would just encourage everybody to look at our Facebook page, the park's Facebook page, as opportunities to volunteer might pop up. We've had people bring our maintenance staff lunch. We've had just people show up. It's not as bad as 2010. We were lucky. It could have been a lot worse, and obviously for people that have houses and property loss, it is worse because we can rebuild a park, but it's going to take some. The good thing about our staff is they've made it to where if you come through there, you'll think, man, y'all have done great. It's cleaned up, but it's not like it's supposed to be. I can assure you that. So we'll get it back, and with your support, we'll get things going better than they ever were. So that's the update.
Andy, I want to ask you a quick question. Mayor, if I may ask, go ahead. If I may. Okay, thank you. What are you anticipating, I mean, just out of a pardon the expression, no pun intended, a ballpark figure of the damages that the city parks are looking at this point?
My best guess is going to be around $1 million plus at this point. Knowing what I know now about the flooring at Mary's Magical Place, yesterday I would have said $750 to $1 million, but I think it's going to be more than $1 million to 1.2.
Okay.
We'll just have to see what the TML folks say as far as what they'll cover and what they won't. For inline hockey, I think it'll be the second or third claim that has been made on that. So.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I don't know, you might want to stand. There might be some people asking some questions later, but I do want to go on and try to get my report over, and then if there's questions to you, there may be or may not. But I do also, I was thinking, because I know a lot of people don't understand when you get up here, even as long as we've all been up here and all the new guys too, there are things that you go, oh shoot, I forgot to say. And there was one that a couple of them I do. I want to thank Alderman Bolt and Brown and the mayor to going out into the Indian Lake Tennis Club and looking at their problem as well. Severe problems out there, and I know I want to let those folks, and I want to let know Alderman Brown and Alderman Bolt as well. We're committed to help you guys 100% because I know that it was rough in your area, and I appreciate the work that you went out and observed as well. And then One near and dear to my heart, Vice Mayor Cunningham, she was out too. She was letting us know about Caldwell Drive and Linden and all that area, and I'm very familiar with that. I represented that area for many, many years ago. And always a concern of mine about the transportation going to even into Nashville and back, or just getting around in town, and letting us know where the water is and what we need to do to prepare for this, Arlene. I appreciate that very much. Yes, ma'am. And so I do want to thank also my colleague from Ward 1, Peg, emailing, or not emailing, but texting. I always get those confused. I don't know why, I just always have, but texting me, letting me know what's up, where the problems are in our own ward when I'm out in Ward 5 or even into the planning region. I had a call out there, and I drove out there, and Peg let me know, so I appreciate that very much. Other than that, let's just keep our fingers crossed, and let's hope and continue to attack our problems within the city, whether it be from Mother Nature or our own problems that we have, with the same kind of discipline and respect that we did with this. And hopefully, when the tornado, people don't understand, even when the tornado season rolls around, we're always on alert. I mean, it doesn't matter. We get emails as aldermen to let us know with these warnings and stuff. So continue to pray for each other and help each other, and that's what makes our city the best that it is. And I'm just very proud to represent this city when things like this happen. Tonight, and I'm going to say a couple more things and then I'm done. We discussed in committee about the contract extension for our garbage contract. And we voted on a 2-to-1 vote that we were not going to extend the contract, that we were going to, I'll just leave it at that. We're just not going to extend it, and so that means that we will get bids out for the other, the mayor's office will call it, and we'll get bids out from other garbage collectors to see where we stand. The other issues are really just some in-house things that we corrected. We transferred funds to the Fire Hall number 2 to get that continued to go on. And we deferred for one meeting the residential speed limit because we want to talk or want to speak with, even though the police were there that night, we want to get some additional information on our subdivisions about the speed limit. And in closing, and I'm sure the mayor wants to say something about this too, I think it's a great idea. If everyone would, not only on the board, but even the citizenry as well, we've opened up a pothole sort of a hotline. And Marshall, do you want to come up and just talk about the pothole, and then and that will be the end of my report tonight. We've got where you can send through email where there's potholes, and we've got plenty. And then I do want to say one thing after that about, because this is real critical. A lot of our people in our wards, and all of our wards, work in Nashville. The TDOT has where you can be notified or go and tell them where you have problems where potholes are on the interstate. I had to go at about 5 in the morning to Nashville the other day to sign some documents, and when I was going down the road, it was raining like crazy, and there were 4 cars that hit a huge pothole that if I'd have hit it, y'all be still looking for him. In fact, you'd be glad oh good, he's not here tonight, because I'd still be in that pothole trying to get out of there.
They wouldn't have been looking for him.
Yeah, they wouldn't. Yeah, Alderman Sprouse says they wouldn't be looking for him. That's probably right. So, Marshall, tell us a little bit about the pothole hotline.
Sure. We, as you mentioned, we have an email address. It's at streets@hvilletn.org. If you or your constituents have a pothole that they need to report, they can use that email address. Let's let you know we have, of course, crews. Because of the weather and the rain we've had, there's been an unusual amount of potholes we've encountered. But we have crews going citywide repairing those. Of course, we're mostly aware of the ones on the major roads, the Indian Lake, Saundersville, Caldwell. But a lot of the local roads we may not be aware of. So it's important just to let us know, regardless of where it is, just let us know through the email address. we can get those fixed.
Okay, thank you. We have, I know in our ward, we have about 3 or 4 on Rockland Road that are getting, getting a little sketchy, but anyway, well, thank you, and thank you, Board, for allowing me to speak about the problems. Yes, sir.
Alderman Sprouse, I think you had a question for
I do, for
Mr.
Mr.
Gilly.
Skidmore.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Are we done?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
One thing, just kind of give a heads up. First, thank you for your kind words.
Yeah.
My home, even in 2010, it was never under threat of being flooded. I have neighbors who are not so lucky. And so I appreciate, I've seen our Public Works Department, our Fire Department work proactively and reactively to disasters and weather events and things. And I have seen them work firsthand reactively this last week. They were set up in my front yard. They were set up in my backyard again because of my neighbors who are not so fortunate. I want to thank them for the work that they've done. I want to thank the neighbors who actually allowed water to be taken from one part of the neighborhood to another part of the neighborhood. You don't make water disappear, you just move it. Right. So I appreciate the neighbors. But I heard some conversation during the time. We had some conversations while this was going on about the type of equipment. Now that we see how well it works proactively, you may be seeing some line items in the budget coming so they can improve those operations in coming years. And I would hope that that your committee would look very favorably upon those, and those end up in the final budget that we approve this summer.
Thank you very much for those kind words. Thank you.
Alderman Brown.
Thanks, Mayor. I've just got a question. On,
Yes.
like Shackle Island, Gallatin Road, there's a lot of potholes there. Are we responsible for that, or is that the state?
No, the state is responsible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we contact, do you want our constituents to contact
They
Public Works?
can still
so we
contact us,
pass
and
it
we
on
can,
to the
and
state?
we can, either way. They can call us, and we can pass it on to the state, or they can call the state directly.
I just want you to say again that we as the city do not have a responsibility of doing any state roads.
That
out in
is
Shackle
correct. The state routes in the city of Hendersonville are the responsibility of TDOT.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate that. Next on the agenda, we have Planning Commission report. Alderman Woodcock. Thank you. Ordinance and resolutions. We have second reading of ordinance 2019-1. This is an ordinance closing and relocating a portion of the street right-of-way of Circle Drive located in Hendersonville, Sumner County, Tennessee. Alderman Woodcock.
So moved.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor of second reading of ordinance 2019-1, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have second reading of ordinance 2019-3. This is an ordinance transferring $15,000 in the Parks Department from the Wi-Fi in the Park project to a new line item titled Lightning Detection System Project and amending budget ordinance 2018-22 by appropriating general funds in the amount of $10,000 to fund the total project cost at Drakes Creek Park. Alderman Bolt.
So moved.
A motion and a second. All those in favor of second reading of ordinance 2019-3, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have second reading of ordinance 2019-4. This is an ordinance appropriating $1,348.05. It's a donation from the Civitan Club of Hendersonville. Alderman Bolt. Have a motion and a second. All those in favor of accepting second reading of ordinance 2019-4, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have first reading of ordinance 2019-2. This is an ordinance appropriating funds for the traffic signal at Center Point Road at the eastbound exit ramp off State Route 386. Alderman Cunningham.
So moved.
A motion and a second. All those in favor of first reading of ordinance 2019, Alderman Cunningham.
I was under the impression there was going to be some type of amendment to this, or no?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay.
My
Appreciate
mistake.
that.
Thank
Okay.
you, Mayor.
Alderman Woodcock.
Mayor, in the committee, I asked a question, kind of what brought this to us, and you said it was brought up by a member of Boma and not necessarily TDOT.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned that $90,000 would have to come from the general fund, but not necessarily this budget. Could you explain that, please?
Yeah, we've collected in fees from 4 different projects along Center Point Road, approximately $270,000 around that. And that's wrong, isn't it, Marshall? Yeah, can you come up here? And so our portion of this is we're going to use that money that we've collected from those 4 projects including some of the homes in Mansker Farms, as well as adding $90,000 from our general fund, and we're going to get about a $500,000 project from that. Marshall, do you want to fix what I just said?
Right, what he's referring to is we've collected payment in lieu, which is something we've done for several years when a site plan comes to a planning commission, and they sometimes we give them the option of doing a payment in lieu instead of doing, sidewalk and curb and gutter. They give us an amount of, for those improvements. And like for example, the Tractor Supply, the Hallmark Honda. There's been several site plans that have come through where we've collected those dollars, and I don't have the exact figure in front of me, but it's in the six-figure range, over $100,000 that we've collected. And so we wanted to, and that money has simply gone into the general fund and been absorbed into that fund. But we have collected it, but the thought was we could, we have documentation that we've collected it, and we can show, we can show that, and we can use that money along with additional monies to make up our match to complete the project. I think I've probably left something out. That's kind of the gist of it.
Appreciate that. The second part of your question was that if we have this in the budget this year and we don't spend it, which I don't anticipate that we will spend it.
Right. The way the project works, we'll enter into contract with TDOT to do the project. The first couple of phases of the project do not require any funding from the city. So they're going to go through design the project, survey, design the project. That will take several months to complete that. Anticipating that it'll put it into next fiscal year. And then we can I can put money in my budget to make up that difference. But when we get to the construction phase of the project, then that's when we'll have to give TDOT a check to build it.
This will show then that we're prepared to fund our portion.
Right.
And if they don't get to it by the end of fiscal year, I'll put it in my budget for next year.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You're on. Oh, now you're on.
So since we are bringing this to the table and not TDOT, why would we not simply wait 3 months and put this in our next budget? Why are we pushing for it now?
They won't start the project until we sign the contract.
Right, but we want them to start it. And is it a safety concern that we're wanting to do now versus 3 months from now? I guess my question is why are we not waiting for the normal budget process and add it then?
I think it's what he just says. I can't sign the contract until we have the money, and they won't do their portion until I sign the contract.
Right.
So we just want it done sooner.
Yeah, as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And go back to your first part of your question. This is something that TDOT came to us and asked us to do. This is something that we went to TDOT before I was mayor and asked them to do. And the traffic counts didn't warrant it, so we did traffic counts again, and it worked out so that TDOT decided to fund half of it.
Yeah.
So, anything else? Okay.
That's right.
Okay. Alderman Edwards.
Okay, does this need to pass now? If it doesn't pass soon, could we possibly lose the federal funding that's been offered? Or is that going to still remain open?
I think it would still remain. I don't know. We did do a letter of commitment, but I don't know that we gave a timeline for that funding commitment. But I think if we waited a month or two, I don't know that would lose any funding for that.
Okay, and but I mean, would you agree that it needs to happen? I mean, it's pretty important to have that light there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it needs to happen.
And talk for a minute about the light synchronization there. Like, what if that gets installed? Would all of them be in that area be synchronized?
Right. I failed to reply to the email, but I think once once TDOT does the project, when they do that project, they would take that into account. They would look at that entire corridor and make sure it functioned as a part of that project. Now, we also have a citywide project that would also take that into account, but certainly when they do that project, it would work with all those lights.
Okay. And next, I don't know, Alderman Campbell may be able to ask if this, okay, this may need to go through capital projects because the proposed ordinance is for the city to fund up to $264,500 towards this.
Oh, yeah.
So that may be something.
Yeah.
Yes, at that time it would go to capital projects.
I thought, well,
$250,000.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Alderman, anything else, Alderman Edwards?
I have nothing further.
Alderman Petrelli?
Thank you. So I just have 3 questions. So what is the overall cost of the project? What is our portion of the project? And what is the PILO funds that we have to date?
Okay.
Thank you.
There, in the back page of the contract outlines the different funding requirements, and I don't have the total, but it's over. I'm going to say in the range of $560 some odd $1,000 for the total cost of the project. Our responsibility is half of that. There's three phases of the project. The first 2 phases, there's no matching dollars from the city required. Once you get to construction phase, that's, the matching dollars are required for that, and that's where the amount comes from. I'm sorry, what was the last part of the question?
How much do we have currently in the PILO funds and payment in lieu of?
Well, that's kind of a hard question to answer. We've collected payment in lieu funds for years.
Right. And what can we put towards that project?
Well,
Arlene, do you remember, I know we talked about that in finance, just the amount of money that we have in the 4 funds?
It was about 175,000
Sounds
or
right.
so.
Okay. I can't speak, it's hard for me to speak to financial things, but my understanding is when we take payment in lieu funds, we'll collect those funds, we'll deposit those into our account. When you go through the course of the year, at the end of that year, that money is absorbed back into the general fund. I think. And so.
Our obligation would be $90,000 to come up.
Approximately.
Okay, gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
But it would,
But-
it's not probably most likely 90% not going to be in this budget year.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
So if it doesn't come in this budget year, then we can make the appropriate allocation of those funds in the new budget. Is that correct?
Yes, that's my intention. But we've collected over the course of several years. We've collected a lot of money through the payment in lieu process, but it just becomes absorbed into the general fund. And we have documentation where we track all that we collect. So when we come before you and ask for money, we can kind of show that 3 years ago we collected this for this, and can kind of, I guess,
Sure.
kind of reason, have a reason why we want it. But
Yeah, no, I
that's
understand.
it,
So basically what you're saying is we have about 175 in PILO funds, and then we'll have to add the 90,000 at another point.
And of those funds, those were projects in the vicinity of
Sure.
of Center of the Center Point.
Thank you.
Alderman Skidmore.
Yeah, thank you. You pretty much answered most of my questions, but I just want to let the Board of Aldermen know that, when we did our traffic signalization project, and then we even had someone, I can't remember the name of the company, but Jim Harrison did a really good job, outlining what we're on the red light down there at Centerpoint Road. It really does affect not only Ward 3, but it affects Ward 1, it affects Ward 2, and actually it affects part of Ward 6 as well. So it's a very important area. That's one of the oldest exits in town. It needs to be, the whole place needs to be upgraded by TDOT. And we need to kind of address that, but we can talk about that in Public Works I have some ideas about how we can do that with our leaders down in Nashville to try to get some paving done down there. But I do want to say that we've known about it for a while in the city. The whole board did, and you're doing a real good job in Public Works. Thank you.
Alderman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a concerned question. We have, time that I've been in here, we've taken tens of thousands of dollars in lieu of. In lieu of usually means we're taking your money and we're going to put the sidewalk in, or we're taking your money and we're going to put the curb and gutter in, or we're taking your money and we're going to do trees, or whatever that is. We don't make the developer do it. We take the money instead. My question, we're talking a couple $100,000 here that we've taken money in lieu of, and I'm just interested in lieu of what? What have we been holding that money for that we said we were taking that money in lieu of, that somebody could raise a question? Well, I remember back when y'all said we were going to take money and put sidewalks in them.
Right. Well, we have letters documenting what we take it for, but typically, just one example is Sellers Funeral Home on Main Street in Mont Haven.
Okay.
They had we did an in lieu fee for them. Instead of doing sidewalk and curb and gutter on their frontage, we just said it doesn't. There's no sidewalk connection really for them to make. And then this is discussing with planning and this isn't just one person making a decision, and we discuss with staff, but we've decided as a staff it made more sense to them to give us a payment in lieu instead of them building it. I mean that's just one example, but that's
a great example, because I don't know who necessarily want to walk on the sidewalk by a funeral home.
Right.
But my concern is Mansker Farms, where the two representatives live at, or someplace like that. Have we taken money in lieu of something to be done for residents?
No, the Mansker Farms, there's a $300 per lot fee that Mansker Farms pays. It's been there for a long time, and I'm not sure how much is in that account, but there's some amount of money in that account. It's probably not much, but there's some money's there that we could use towards the
Okay, I have a curious question. I'm going to vote for the ordinance.
Sure.
But I would like between now and second reading to get a list of in lieu of money, where that money's actually been pocketed for, who gave it to us and what it was for.
Okay.
Do you do that?
For the purpose of this project?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Alderman Petrelli.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to piggyback off of the senior alderman in Ward 4, something that I asked when I served on the Planning Commission for the last 2 years, and my understanding was that I did not need legislation to make it happen, was that PLO funds would be line itemed out to explain exactly what we were financially getting and what we were physically not getting. Is that correct, Marshall?
Yeah,
Is that happening, Daryl, the senior alderman from Ward 5? Is that happening at planning?
Yes, for all new projects.
But I mean, is it, like, when you get your packet, is it saying this is what?
Include the amounts for the payment in lieu.
Right, and explaining basically what we're not getting. So we're taking $10,000, but we're not getting 2 miles of sidewalk, or we're not. So is that happening at planning?
Yeah, it's being discussed. I'm seeing in the packet. I'm not sure exactly what your request exactly was, but that information is being discussed and provided.
My request was that payment in lieu of funds be documented, so that for $10,000 to be put into the general fund per se, we don't get 2 miles of sidewalk paved or curb and gutter or whatever, just so that there was kind of a checks and balances on it, because every time a project came through planning, the PLO amount was all over the place. There wasn't a standardized, so that was something that I requested. I asked if we needed legislation on something like that, and I was told no, so I was just trying to follow up to see if that is going on at planning. That way it's easier to track the PLO funds. Correct?
Yes,
Okay.
it is. Yeah, we've since, and that's happened. Planning staff has done a real good job of tracking that, and when it comes in, when it goes to finance. So, and we have a pretty good paper trail.
Thank you.
So,
Alderman Skidmore.
Yeah, thank you. And just in closing, I know that the hour's late, and I know people are probably beat this ordinance to death, but I want to let the board know for the past 2 or 3 years, we in Public Works during budget time, we have always together with planning have come up with with not line items, but just for information only on how much each department or each payment in lieu of all over the city, not only in specific areas, but everywhere, of what the development community has paid into the city. And so we've always just done it for information, but we'll be happy to provide that because it'll probably be real easy to get Alderman Brown to let you know. You'd be surprised on how frugal we've been as a city, and then what we've been able to use a lot of that money for. So thank you.
All those in favor of first reading of ordinance 2019-2, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Thank you, Marshall. Next, we have first reading of ordinance 2019-5. This is an ordinance establishing a hotel tax in the city of Hendersonville. I so move. A motion is second. All those in favor of ordinance 2000, Alderman Woodcock.
Sorry. So I had to step out of the Finance Committee just before the vote, and then Alderman Bolt was questioning or had an issue with how this was being presented. I just want to make sure I was understanding what was being separated.
Yeah, I can tell you.
Go ahead, Alderman Bolt.
The only separation we're having is as two ordinances. One would be that we approve this. Second of all is how that money would be basically dispersed. It'd be a committee that would come together and make recommendations to this board as to how that money would be spent, and 1/3, 2/3, without going into detail unless you want that, but just having it as two separate ordinances.
Alderman Woodcock?
I'm good.
Okay. All those in favor of first reading of ordinance 2019-5, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have Resolution 2019-6. This is a resolution to declare equipment owned by the city to be surplus property and directing the disposal of that property. Alderman Brown. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of Resolution 2019-6, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. And next we have Resolution 2019-7. This is a resolution to approve a final development plan for Southview Professional Plaza. Alderman Woodcock. We have a motion and a second. Alderman Woodcock, do you need to make an amendment there? Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. I mentioned this earlier. It states Lot 1. This is actually for the entire FDP, 4 lots.
Is that in the... Yeah, it's in the very last paragraph now. Therefore, third line. It's in the caption also. Okay, thank you. It's in the first paragraph and the
Yes, if it could just be removed from all points, that'd be great.
First paragraph, second paragraph, and fourth paragraph. Alderman Woodcock makes a motion to amend. Second. And a second. All those in favor of the amendment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Now we're on the main motion of Resolution 2019-7. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have reading of Resolution 2019-9. This is a resolution authorizing the donation of a 1990 International Fire Engine to the Shackle Island Volunteer Fire Department. Alderman Brown. Motion and a second. Alderman Woodcock.
Thank you. I have a quick question. Maybe the chief can answer. With everything that's happened with the fire hall and pulling funds from various places, I want to be able to tell citizens we're doing everything we possibly can to, A, replenish the paving fund and maximize funds available for the fire hall. So why would we not sell this versus donating it?
Chief Bush.
It's a 29-year-old piece of equipment. It's probably, unless you get some site that's going to let you advertise or try to sell it for free, you might get $500-600 for it.
Good enough for me.
Parts are very, very extinct for something that's 29 years old. Typically, it costs you more money to keep it on the road. That's one of the biggest reasons. Shackle Island currently has nothing for a reserve engine, and if their engine goes down, then that increases our opportunities to run outside of the city limits to provide service for them.
Alderman Sprouse.
Mr. Woodcock, great question. It's one of the first ones I asked when I was on the board. I think I remember making Chief Steele a little nervous when I said I had a 3-year-old who'd let me give you $100 for it just to bring it home for the day, and he didn't know me well enough yet to know I was joking. Especially when Alderman Foster joined in and said he'd go 50-50 with me on it because his kids would like it too. But I think it's important when we do things like this to note that this equipment, while it has lower value, particularly in operations in Hendersonville, it still has value. And if it didn't, Shackle Island wouldn't take it. I mean, they would want us just to junk it. I'm not saying we shouldn't give it to them, because there are situations where we do have mutual aid agreements with them, and we are neighbors, and just because they live outside the city limits and we live inside the city limits, we're all county residents. With that being said, we are all county residents that are also funding in part, in addition to city fire services, we are funding in part the money the county gives to the volunteer fire services. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do that. I do, however, tell our county commissioner friends from time to time they should consider doing fire districts. But here's where it's important. I want the value of what we're doing, the cooperation that we have with emergency services on the county level, to be considered when we complete the new fire hall and county apparatus and county personnel operated out of that. We had conversations last year about approaching the county, about giving us some funds to build the fire hall that's going to in part house county personnel and county apparatus. We were told we came too late to the table. It's February. They're probably starting their budgets now if they haven't already started it, and I'd like to encourage that we have those conversations again with them. And again, using this as a trigger for that conversation, just to show that it is a cooperative effort, and we hope that they can reciprocate in some way. Thank you.
If I could, we've had that conversation. I think some of y'all were copied on an email that I sent to several county commissioners. Did not get a response. I've had a couple conversations with some county commissioners about how to go about getting some sort of compensation for maybe the utility cost or maybe the square footage that they use. We don't ever want to say that we're going to be unwelcome to the county professionals in our fire halls. They provide a service to us. We don't want to do that. What we would like is some sort of compensation, like I said, if not for the square footage, then at least for the utilities. I continue to have that conversation, as do some other mayors in Sumner County with the county executive. It's basically going nowhere. We continue to have that conversation. At some point, probably need to sit down with Public Safety Committee and sort of decide a next route of action. It is a topic when the mayors and the county executive get together every time. And it's a topic very often when I talk to county commissioners. In fact, I think some of them avoid me now because they know that's what I want to talk about. They know I plan to ask them for money. But I appreciate that, Alderman Strauss. We're going to continue, and it's something that we're going to go to the Public Safety Committee pretty quickly about. So, on that topic, we do have another item going to the Public Safety Committee. Okay, hold on. Is that there's something else to talk to Alderman Brown about getting compensation for our calls outside the district. Alderman Petrelli.
Thank you, Mayor. You had mentioned that we were copied on an email. I did not receive that email. Was it a recent email?
Oh, no, it's been several months ago. I know I've sent a couple, and some went to the Public Safety Committee, some went to the aldermen in that district, some went to just some county commissioners, and I copied some folks on it.
Okay, so there hasn't been a recent email?
There's been a recent email to county commissioners, yes.
Oh, and was the Public Safety Committee copied on that?
I don't remember.
If,
send it again? Sure.
Yeah, if you don't mind, just send it again. Thank you.
Sure. I got you. Okay. Alderman Cunningham.
Would it be appropriate for us to ask to have a venue of some type at the county commission, either one of their committee meetings, their budget committee meetings, to explore this option and do it in a public meeting?
I think that'd be wonderful.
How do we get on their agenda to do that?
I don't know. I've asked for direction several times from the county commissioners. You want me to ask to be on their agenda?
Yes.
We'll do it.
Okay. For our public safety chairman, at least to be on their agenda.
Okay.
And the finance chairman.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would like to be included in that, Steve, if possible.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Chief Bush, did you need to add something to
I know last year when we were talking about all this, CTAS, which is a spinoff of MTAS, which is the County Technical Association, was supposed to be working with the county for a set fee for city organizations to go out and provide a service. That may be a starting point as far as a question, maybe come out in an email to see how that turned out. Obviously, it's on CTAS's table and radar. I just don't know how far along with that. If I have your blessings, I don't mind reaching out to the guy that does the CTAS stuff and just attach you in an email.
I think that'd be helpful.
And kind of see where they're at in the process.
Yeah.
And I can certainly attach public safety to that and maybe even finance if you want me to do that.
I think that'd be helpful, and you sort of alluded to something Alderman Sprouse did too, that it's not quite that simple as asking them to pay us, because when they write us a check, at least 40% of that is coming from our taxpayers. And so to have districts where people outside the county pay for that makes more sense than people inside the city paying twice for that. So it gets a little bit complex there, and I think CTAS can help us with that. So Alderman Cunningham, something else?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Same thing. If we could be provided with some type of a list of their equipment that we're housing, and do we house also their personnel
Yes.
and the amount of personnel that we house
So
at at multiple fire halls and
I can tell you right now, we have 3 county ambulances with 2 people on it every day. So every third day, so like today's B shift, so you have 6 county employees and 3 ambulances in the city of Hendersonville. And that's true on tomorrow's day and the next day, unless they have some kind of situation where they shut an ambulance down. But we're typically one of the last places they shut an ambulance down from. Now, it's happened, but they typically try to avoid that. I think that's been a gentleman's agreement from several years ago that we were to be the last, because our call volume is 6,200 calls a year, and probably 85–90% of that's EMS. I will say one thing that I'm going to try to push our younger folks to now is to go ahead and advance into the paramedic certification to provide an extra level of care for our citizens, because our call volume is picking up, and we're having some lengthy response times from the county. Not their fault, but they're coming from Station 4 in Gallatin, or they're coming from the other side of Gallatin. So I'm encouraging my folks to go for their paramedic certifications, which could mean more money on down the road to provide ALS engine companies.
And we welcome them into our city. So we have 3 in 3 different fire halls?
Yes, ma'am. Station 3 on Bonita.
Okay.
1 on Station 1 on Luna. Station 2 used to house an ambulance many years. And then when 5 was built, we did the blowout wall with Station 5 with the idea that the county was going to come out there. Obviously, that was a under-budgeted project, and it ended up costing us a bunch more money, but that was a base strictly for EMS.
And I recall that it cost us over $500,000 of
And a lengthy time.
city money, yes, and it's dedicated space to just the EMS ambulance. I mean, it's a perfect spot for it, right next to the hospital lawn.
Perfect, yes, sure.
And we welcome them, but we never got any kind of help. I don't know if it was never asked or what.
No, it was asked. I mean, I have the letter that was sent to them.
So we accommodated them to the tune of $500,000 without.
More or less.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
I welcome them to our city, don't get me wrong, but
Sure.
this is kind of we're running a $50+ million company here.
There's other options. I just have to have the go-ahead of what to do.
Okay, thank you.
I have those in my desk drawer when that discussion gets to that point. I'm not encouraging one way or the other. I'm just saying there's other options.
Well, it certainly would be welcome funds for us in this budget year.
Because I know in Portland, when they built the station up there and they gave them $3 million, whatever that value was, it's in that letter that we sent. Also in that agreement, they split internet, water, gas, whatever bills that come in there. They split and/or are responsible for their own. We don't pay for their usage of anything. Or Portland doesn't.
Yes.
We incur all that right now.
Correct.
And again, they are welcomed here. I mean, they're an asset to us.
Absolutely.
They provide a
They're an
valuable
asset
service
to
to
the
us.
community, absolutely. And I'm not taking anything away from that at all.
Oh, I know. So,
Thank you,
Thank you,
Alderman
Mayor.
Cunningham. Alderman Sprouse.
I have the best county commissioners. Just want to let you know. One of them is the chairman of the Budget Committee. I just asked him, and he said that he would meet next week. And if you could, we'll get some numbers together just to start the conversation. And I will be happy to come back to finance or public safety or both, just to let you know what the next steps could be, if there can be next steps. I can't promise anything other than just starting the discussion. Thanks.
Thank you. Alderman Brown.
So does that let me off the hook since you just text Taylor and he answered you? Or? Sounds like it, yeah. I'll call him too, since I was asked to.
I've already done that.
I can't multitask like you. I would tell Alderman Cunningham, you probably remember this, we did, as Public Safety Chairman, write a letter last year, the chief and I did, to that particular commissioner who was the chairman of the Emergency Services Committee. He took that a step further and came back and said right now there wasn't any funding. But we could certainly make a request again, which Alderman Spouse is going to start the ball rolling on, or already has. Thank you, Mayor.
Appreciate that. All those in favor of, where are we? All those in favor of Resolution 2019-9, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. We're skipping over item J. We already dealt with that. Next, we have Resolution 2019-11. This is a resolution transferring assignment of a professional service agreement. Subject, Alderman Skidmore.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Alderman Woodcock.
Am I correct saying just changing the names of the company?
Yes.
Yep. Good. John?
Yeah, the company has changed, but the people that we have been dealing with are with the new company. So the same folks that have been negotiating for us with respect to cell tower issues will be still in place, and we'll still be working with them.
Alderman Woodcock? Okay. Alderman Skidmore, did you have something, or am I incorrect?
No, sir. I was just saying exactly what John Bradley said.
Okay. All those in favor of Resolution 2019-11, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have Resolution 2019-12. This is a resolution transferring funds appropriated in Ordinance 2018-22 to provide additional funding for the construction of Fire Hall Number 2. Alderman Cunningham.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second from Alderman Hayes. All those in favor of Resolution 2019-12, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Next, we have other agenda items. Alderman Robertson, did you want to make a motion to group these?
Yes, please. So
Okay.
moved.
We have a motion to group these. Do we have a second? Second. And we have a second. Alderman Woodcock, is that a second?
Waters.
Alderman Waters, okay. All those in favor of grouping these two items, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. Alderman Sprouse, anybody else? Okay. That passes 12-1. All those in favor of reappointing Beverly Hyde to serve on the Historic Zoning Commission and appointing Charles Lee to serve on the Historic Zoning Commission, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. That passes unanimously. Alderman Waters?
I make the motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn.
I'm sleepy.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. We're adjourned.